A knock on the door and an unexpected guest will change this man's life. It was an ordinary day for Darryl Cohen until an unexpected visitor came to his doorstep and gave him a strange bag. Darryl would never have imagined that at this very day his whole life would turn upside down. Keep watching to find out more. Well, when Darryl opened the door, he saw his daughter standing there smiling. He was so happy to see her, but why hadn't she called first, and when did she come to town? Many questions were born in Darryl's head, and he couldn't find a reasonable answer. However, the strangest thing wasn't that she came to town without telling anyone, but what she was holding. Darryl was looking at his daughter with disbelief and was waiting for an explanation. She was holding a delivery takeout. Darryl couldn't understand what all this meant and why his daughter traveled just to give him a bag of delivery takeout that he didn't order. However, everything would make sense in the very next minute. Darryl's family was originally from Orange County in California, and they share a strong bond. His wife's name is Nene, and together they have 2 kids named Grant and Victoria. Darryl often misses his kids as they're both all grown up and they follow their own path. Darryl's son, Grant, is a monetization expert who works at many innovative startups. He's really successful at his job, and he's the co-founder of a very innovative new football league where the audience can choose the strategy of the team for themselves. You impressed? But that's not all. Grant isn't just a successful businessman, he also has a beautiful family. He and his wife, Chanel Malak Cohen, have 2 sons and a daughter. They're very happy, and Darryl's really proud of his son. Victoria chose a different path from the one Grant followed. She studied at Southern Methodist University and was offered a great job at PepsiCo in New York after they were impressed by her work. So she moved there and started a new life away from her beloved family. However, she wasn't satisfied with her life. Even though she became very successful, she wasn't completely pleased with her life. She tried a different position in her job, but that didn't make things better either. So she decided to leave everything behind and follow her dream job. And what was her dream job? Yoga. This was her passion, and she couldn't wait any longer. 2016 was the year with the most changes for Victoria as she quit her job, got married, and moved into their brand new home with her husband, Tom Burke. Moreover, she became a full-time yoga instructor. At that point, I realized what was missing was an outlet to discuss the things I'm passionate about, she said. However, an even bigger change was on its way, and that takes us to Danny's doorstep. As was mentioned earlier, Darryl was spending a typical night with his wife when he heard a knock on the door. There, he saw Victoria, who had come without telling anyone, standing on his doorstep and holding a bag of takeout, smiling at him. However, what made things even weirder was that Tom was also there, and for some strange reason, he was recording the whole thing with his phone. Darryl was very confused and waited for his daughter and son-in-law to explain their strange behavior. What Victoria said next took him by surprise. He would never expect to hear these words from his daughter, and he didn't know how to react. However, Victoria didn't say much. She just asked a question that left him speechless and enabled him to say anything. The only thing that Victoria asked her father was, "Did someone order Maggiano's?" while pointing the takeout bag towards him. At first, Darryl was very confused, as all of this had taken him by surprise. But after Victoria repeated the question, he started realizing what was happening. After realizing what she meant, her father was very shocked and he stood there speechless. Darryl shouted from excitement and he couldn't stop shaking. "Where's Mom? Is she here?" Victoria asked, as she wanted to make the same question to her too. And that's when her mother came to the doorstep, and before getting over the fact that her daughter had traveled from Chicago to California without saying a word, Victoria made the same question to her. "Did someone order Maggiano's?" she asked. Her mother couldn't believe her ears, and along with her husband, they started shouting in excitement. But why did this question make them so happy? This wasn't just a meaningless question. Victoria knew that her parents would crack the code and find out the secret message behind it. 7 years ago started a family tradition. Grant and Chanel announced that Chanel was pregnant at Maggiano's. But how did it become a tradition? The fact that made this a tradition was that Grant and Chanel announced their second pregnancy at the exact same place. So this was an inside joke between the family members, and every pregnancy should be announced at Maggiano's. Funniest thing is that Grant and Chanel wanted to reveal their third pregnancy at Maggiano's too, but at that specific time it wasn't possible. So Grant decided to call his parents and just say, "We're planning to go back to Maggiano's," and they immediately understood what he meant. So when Victoria found out that she was pregnant, she knew that she couldn't break the family tradition. But it would be really difficult as she was living in Chicago, so that's when she thought of the plan. At first, it was really difficult to organize everything perfectly, and she and her husband decided that the best way to reveal the pregnancy was to fly to California and surprise Victoria's parents when they arrived in California. That's when the idea came into their mind. They decided that even though they couldn't take Victoria's parents and go to Maggiano's because that would reveal the surprise, there was another, more unique way to do the pregnancy reveal. Victoria and Tom decided to buy some food from Maggiano's and deliver it by themselves to Victoria's parents' house. In this way, they would really surprise them. And the plan worked as both Victoria's parents understood very well the joke and got very excited. However, Victoria wasn't ready for what was waiting for her. Sadly, she had a really difficult pregnancy. One day she just started gagging without being able to stop, and that really worried her, but she couldn't find the reason behind the extreme nausea. She really tried to find the reason why this happened to her, and then she realized that her sensitivity to smell, and she always had some extreme, and she couldn't control it. It was a nightmare. The worst thing was that her house had a lingering drywall smell that made her extra sick. Tom couldn't take to see Victoria suffering like that, so he decided that the best solution for her was to get her out of the house. So he booked a hotel for her nearby the house, and at the weekend they stayed with Tom's parents. After a week, and along with her doctor's help, Victoria managed to return to her home and everything went great after that. "I'm hoping the worst is behind me and I can finally move on," she said.